you want to experience the La Habra community at its best, look no further than El Cholo. The home-style Mexican cuisine reflects how people of all backgrounds gather together in the city to share a meal. Sandy Baltez is the executive director of the La Habra Collaborative, a nonprofit organization focused on bettering the community. The La Habra native has been eating here for years and has seen the restaurant and the city grow into a cultural melting pot. Growing up here in La Habra since you were 2, how do you feel that El Cholo reflects how the community's changed?
Oh my gosh. Well, when I was a little girl, this was just a small little house, and the family all worked here and cooked, and it's just kind of grown and grown and grown as the community has. It appeals to a diverse population, as that's what the community is. It's just great. It's a great melting pot. It's just, and everybody loves the food.
Everybody loves Mexican food.
Everybody, yeah, that's true.
So, how's your meal today?
Oh.
She's never had green corn tamales before. Can you imagine?
Great.
You should have seen my reaction when I ate.
Yeah.
Oh my god, it's so good.
Isn't it delicious?
It's sweet. I'm hooked.
We have to get your mother. It's not good.
So
it was great.
It's only here May through October. So why is that?
The corn's not as good during the winter time and all that. We make it with fresh corn. And so the amount and the corn just doesn't produce the same quality. It's a different type of texture and water in it. And then the reason they're called green corn is because we save the green husks right after we peel the corn. Where normally the tamales are made with the dried husk. Well, we wrap them in the green husks and then steam them that way.
I see.
And stuff. So it's just a delicacy that it wouldn't be the same if we tried to produce it during the wintertime.
And do you find that the community just rushes here as soon as they know it's green?
Yes, they do.
Corn tamale
Opening
time.
day of the season is one of our busy days. Yeah, very, very busy. And then towards the end of the year, towards the end of October, people are calling up and they're anxious to get them. They freeze well. They will hold up well during the wintertime. So a lot of people order quite a few and take them home with them.
Now, I heard that La Habra is very special for avocados. And I see this delicious guacamole. Now, Sandy was kind of walking me through the whole history, but you being here since the start of it, how has the avocados coming from La Habra really made an impact in this restaurant?
It's years ago, before avocados it wasn't a real popular item. We used to have all the farms up here in the hills around here.
California can boast a lot of things, but perhaps the most important to food lovers is right here at the original site of the first Haas avocado tree. Now, you know that guacamole that everyone loves so much? Well, that almost didn't happen when the owner wanted to chop down the tree after it didn't quite grow the way he wanted. Thankfully, after a 76-year-long life, the mother tree planted here is responsible for 95% of avocados sold in California and 80% of them sold worldwide. Can you kind of talk about what El Cholo is? Because I think in today's age, it's a different meaning. So what does it mean?
When we got the name, a gentleman came in and he wrote on a napkin, he drew a little figurehead of a man with a big floppy sombrero on, and he wrote Cholo underneath it. And that was the field workers back here in early California. They called them Cholos. So we just decided to call it El Cholo. It had nothing to do with what the meaning is nowadays. It was just basically the farmhands, field workers. They were called Cholos.
And La Habra used to be the home of a lot of farmhands. There we had a camp, and they actually lived there. A lot of them would go up to the Central Valley and pick fruit and then come back and live in La Habra the rest of the year. So Cholo was an important part of La Habra.
How did that affect the community and the way that it was set up?
It's really interesting. In fact, at one point, the schools were segregated. And there were actually Hispanic schools, Mexican schools they call them. And before I was in school, but right around that time, I know they integrated the schools. And they closed down, I think it was called Wilson School, and everybody started going to school together. And we had a big change in the community. It took a long time, I would say up until maybe even the 80s. We had a little fallout from people trying to merge cultures. But I think now, as El Cholo shows, people are we're La Habra. We all work together and nobody thinks about who lives where and who does what. It's just La Habra.
La Habra is a community deep in tradition. Its origins stem from orange groves and avocado trees, but this small community is quickly growing. Lifelong resident and longtime councilman Jim Gomez, also known as Mr. La Habra, has played an active role in helping the La Habra business community grow.
Well, you know, the unique thing about La Habra is when I grew up, it was a bedroom community. There's no freeways nearby. There's no easy way to get to La Habra. There's no freeway. And it was a bedroom community. We had literally no businesses involved in the community. We had a very small number of mom and pop stores, and that was the extent of it. But really, over the years, it's grown, and we've started attracting big box stores to La Habra. So we've had a boom in the economy over the years.
La Habra's past is here in this building. It's not Saturday. They're only open for 4 hours, but we're gonna test our luck. Let's see. Anybody? No, but next time, we know no cheeseburgers, milkshakes, or snow cones. Now it's a little hard to tell, but I'm actually standing in one of the oldest parts of La Habra. Over here is where the orange groves used to be, back here is where the migrant camps were, and now this area has sort of turned into a central hub for the city. This area is known as the heart of La Habra. Staying true to the city's motto of a caring community, this sweet spot is filled with nonprofit resource centers, including the La Habra Boxing Club. The man behind it all is David Martinez, who has an interesting legacy in the community. Right over there is your house.
Yes.
So you've really seen La Habra and the community come full circle. Why don't you give us a little background story of, you know, your roots here?
So my roots are here in La Habra. My boxing club is located no more than 100 yards from where I was born. And sometimes I can't believe the church I used to go to is now my boxing club. And the area here was, there was a lot of orange groves. And I remember when we used to play the orchards, and now they're homes.
And what was this area called? It was
called
camp?
the Red Camp. Red Camp. There were houses that were red in color, and the migrant workers used to live there. And every morning they used to meet at a location here where the truck would pick them up, and they would go out of the area to pick oranges. And they rented the homes maybe for $10, $15 a month, and the money was taken from their work as orange pickers. And my dad was an orange picker, and so this is why I know a little bit about that time.
What was the environment like living there?
The environment here was like a community. People weren't allowed to go north of this area here because it was segregated. So we had our own barbershops, our own restaurants, our own gas stations, and our own. We had a facility where on Saturday and Sundays they used to meet for dances.
Okay, and talking about Wilson School, can you kind of give me like a background of that? Because
Well,
that was the segregated
Yes,
school?
that was a school where a lot of the migrant workers, their kids attended. My parents attended that school. That's all they went. They just went through the elementary school, but that's all that was needed. The parents here thought that, you know what, you go to elementary school, that's enough. Now you go to work.
Go to work.
Go to work.
You're like La Habra's boxing legend. Where did that start? Where did it come from?
I started boxing in the military.
Wow.
And then once I got out of the military, my passion was still there for doing something in the sports world, and I thought boxing was the best way to continue my love for the sport.
So there's something behind your passion. What is it that inspires you to keep this
It's because
running?
I didn't have much when I grew up, and I'm giving back to what I didn't have growing up.
La Habra was a place for humble beginnings for one famous person in particular. This is where Richard Nixon's first law office was, where he worked for 3 years and only made $250 a month. Imagine that as a president's salary. The future leader of our country worked in a small space in the back where he had a homemade desk that he later took with him when he made it all the way to Washington. And finally, you can't leave La Habra without getting the greatest breakfast in town at Arthur's. Arthur's is the spot to meet with old friends, have some fun, and get a hearty start to your day. How has it been seeing this business grow from you and your brother being 13 years old, volunteering, and having your dad kind of establish this wonderful restaurant?
It's been gratifying, particularly here in La Habra, the community has changed a lot through the years. It's a wonderful, diverse community. We've been here so long that I now employ 2 or 3 young men and women who I saw as infants in this restaurant.
No, that's great. So you've really seen the community grow. What's been the biggest difference throughout the years?
I'd say the biggest difference is the cultural change. There is a bigger mix these days, and I certainly welcome that. It's a great cultural mix, a lot of flavors, and even, you know, if you could call it in La Habra the restaurant scene, it's thriving here.
Yeah. And you can definitely see the mixture of flavors like through your food. You've got steak here, chorizo, like it's all here.
My favorite part of having this restaurant, La Habra, is enjoying the longevity of knowing that we've been a part of this community, and comfort food can really keep a community together. So perhaps we played a small part in it.